So, Matt, we have a lot to talk about. Of course, first here to celebrate the Massiveverse, we know that the official date for the Kickstarter for Inferno Girl Red is going to be announced tomorrow at C2E2.
That's right.
I'm not going to ask you for spoilers,
Yes.
but we could talk about how you shared a little bit more at San Diego Comic-Con. Hopefully, people will get to see a little bit more at C2E2.
Yes.
But we can talk about how excited you are, and maybe you can share a little bit about the journey to bringing this character to life.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been incredible. It's like, if you've been following along with the Kickstarter, you'll know that our artist Erica has had a really rough time and spent months incapacitated, which was very rough on her. But she's rebounded now and is churning through pages. I think she's at 95 pages of 120 done, so we're home stretch. And whenever I've felt worried about what's been happening with the Kickstarter or how the project's going, I look at those pages and all of my faith comes back because they're stunning. They're absolutely stunning. So, yeah, it's coming along really well. We're going to share, as you said, a little bit more at C2E2 tomorrow, give people some timelines, finally, and then we can finally start giving it to people, which is great, because I'm always, sick of talking about it. I just want people to read it, because I really think it's really good.
So where did the inspiration for this character come from?
A few different places. One of them is wanting to create a superhero that people who read YA books but don't have an easy way into superhero comics can get. It's very easy to understand. It reads like a novel because it's OGN. It's not broken up into issues in the traditional sense, and it will feel natural to them. But also something that spoke a little bit more to the future and where we're at in our current time and what it means to have belief in a time when it is really hard to have belief, and how necessary that is for the future. So yeah, put all those things together and talk to Kyle about what he's building in Massiveverse and being like, yeah, well, this feels like the right fit for that. I love the ambition of Massiveverse and I want to be part of that. So put all that together and get Inferno Girl Red.
And readers already got to have a little bit of a glimpse of the character with the supermassive crossover. We know at San Diego Comic-Con announced the sequel to that endeavor. But how did it feel bringing the character just to that little introduction to bring it to the audiences before the graphic novel was released?
It was really fun. I think it was good to be able to give people a small sample, especially because people have been waiting so long for the OGN. To be here's a little bit, and because it's set a little into Cassia's future, it's a little bit of this is the hero that she'll become, and then we'll get to see her journey a little bit once the OGN comes out. But it was great, and I think it, to me, proved the premise of the Massiveverse in a lot of ways. These characters are so different, but you put them together in that chemistry, it really works, and we can do some really crazy stuff with it. So yeah, it felt great.
Well, she got to play off of Radiant Black and off of Rogue Sun. Was there something that surprised you as you guys were shaping that first interaction? Well, something that stood out to you particularly?
What surprised me was how Cassia was the mature one in the situation a lot of times, despite being much younger than everybody else involved. She, at that point in her life, has her stuff figured out a lot more than the other two in a lot of ways. And I think it helped us all, understand our characters a little better. And, understanding how they relate to each other. I think it also helped us understand what our books were and how those niches that we were filling were distinct. And I think we were able to take that chemistry and be like, okay, we've got the group dynamic down, let's break that out into our own books and we'll just sort of replicate that across the universe. And that's the plan.
Well, I got to speak with Ryan before the Supermassive crossover came out. It was also interesting because he was building Rogue Sun, and obviously there is a family dynamic, but getting to introduce a different version of that character before audiences would actually experience the Rogue Sun book gave a lot of context to what the character would be facing down the line, but also changed expectations a lot. Do you feel that was similar to what you're expecting with your character, or is it a little bit different in your?
No, it's similar, and I think it's similar in ways that people won't appreciate until a little further down the track, I suspect, because it wasn't just let's throw Cassia in there. We knew what point in her life this is, and we know why she was sort of trapezing across the multiverse. She's out there, she's searching for something in particular, and I think once people read the OGN, they'll have an idea of what that thing that she's after is. And I think it'll help inform Supermassive in a really fun way. So hopefully you'll be able to go back and reread Supermassive afterwards and appreciate it in a new way once you understand where Cassia is at and, what she's after.
Well, we know that this is the first installment for your character. Is there a plan to continue this as a graphic novel series, or is it going to be more of a Kickstarter? What's the next step for your character beyond releasing the first book?
The plan is more. We want to keep doing graphic novels. I think it feels like the right format for us. How we fund that, if we go back to Kickstarter, We haven't quite decided that yet, but we're all in. Everyone on the team is very excited to do more. I was speaking to Erica last week, and she was saying, like, I can't wait to do the next one, which is crazy because she's just been working 7 days a week on this for the past 8 months. So we're all excited. We're going to do it.
Well, as backers of the Kickstarter ourselves, we're very excited to see it come to fruition and to get it in our hands.
Absolutely.
So let's pivot for a moment
Yeah.
to your other book. Just wrapped up your run on Power Rangers,
Yes,
Mighty Morphin. Congratulations.
Thank
Phenomenal, more phenomenal. I have to go with it, more phenomenal. And to your run, I know it was a little bit shorter than anticipated, but you did a beautiful job tying the characters together, but also showing a different side of people that we've already grown to know and love for over 20 plus years. Almost, I think we're at year 29. We're approaching, so
That's it.
We're coming up to that. What was it like diving into this particular story arc for Kim, for Jason, for all these characters that we've known for so long?
I loved it, and I think I was really I benefited a lot from being on kind of the second book. I think, well, Ryan Parrott himself actually went through this. I think when Kyle was on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Ryan was on Go-Go, Kyle was taking care of the big universe-shaking stuff, and Ryan was able to focus on character stuff. And I love those comics of Ryan's. And I think now Ryan's taking care of the big universe-shattering stuff, and I got to do some of the smaller character stuff, sort of in the side book, and that's my zone, man. Like, I love that. And being able to take, two characters and just, like, let's really peel them apart, give them some of the development they didn't really have time for on the show, and see what happens when you put them under extreme pressure. And, I was pretty happy with how it came out.
Well, having Kim go through such a journey as well of just more of what does it mean to be a Ranger, but what is my future? And we didn't really see that. It was just, here's Kat in the show, here's Kat, and Kat's going to be a Ranger now, and I'm going to go do this gymnastics competition. And you would think a gymnastics competition would be pretty short, but you'd also think a peace conference would be pretty short. So, you got to explore that, but then also this is already after your issues come out, so the Forever Pink surprise was truly stunning and jaw-dropping when you see it on page. So where did that element come from? Because obviously you could do whatever team you want when you do a dynamic like that, but why specifically the Pink Ranger element to it?
I wanted to tell a story about endings because I knew that Mighty Morphin 22 would be the end of that volume of the book, and the person who's closest to an ending was Kim. So I wanted to figure out, like, how can we tell a story about endings with Kim and make sure that it builds on all of the work that's been done with the character in the past and some of the fears and anxieties that she has, but then help her work through some of that and look towards the future with a bit more excitement. And as we began literalizing that, we just realized that in some ways the best way to show people why there's reason to live in the future is to show them some of the future and show them some of the legacy that she's leaving behind. And once we started down that path, it's like, all right, well, why not just show her all of it? Let's show her every Pink Ranger from here on out that she's going to inspire and sort of like lead the way for, and give her that moment because she deserves it. Like, she's a founding Power Ranger. She's such a like fundamental part of the series. So like, let's give her her moment, and then let that sort of heal a little bit of that trauma for her, so that she has, a bit of a happier trajectory from here on out.
So looking back at your run right now, what was the moment that stood out to you as like seeing it on page for the first time, or just seeing it come to life? What was that defining space for you?
Oh, it was definitely Alfonso Fivori, the disguise for Alpha 5. I'm half joking, I'm half not joking. I just, like, I want an action figure. If anyone knows Hasbro, like, please, I want an Alfonso action figure. That's all I want. That, and I think that moment with Kim in that last issue, like, I wanted to say something about the power of that franchise and that multi-decade legacy, and make sure that it was something personal. And hopefully I hit that in that moment.
It absolutely resonated, and I think fans are going to be very excited to see what comes with Inferno Girl Red. Thank you so much. Pleasure.
Great to chat.
Stay tuned for more coverage at C2E2 and Comics Online.
From leaping tall buildings to going off like gamma bombs. Switch your internet browser to comicsonline.com.